We're back! Morgan Webb and, where's Adam?
You're here, I'm here, Adam is not.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. That's a 5 out of 5.
And he left his mic on. But guess what? It's time to relaunch an old favorite. It's Castlevania on the PS2. And this is the first 3D Castlevania we don't expect to suck.
Excuse me, sorry. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, okay. Did I miss anything? What happened?
Sarah, wait for me. I'm coming to save you.
That whip has become the bane of the children of the night.
This whip and my kinsmen will destroy you someday. From this day on, the Belmont clan will hunt the night.
If you want to know.
Beat me!
Welcome! I haven't had any visitors in a while.
But I am beloved by the night. You will taste my powers.
I'll kill you and the night!
My, he's gonna kill an entire time of day.
Yes, he is. That's it. He looks a little bit like Devil May Cry.
So if you think about it, Belmont and Dante, they both look like that, and they still get chicks. Why, Morgan?
But first, we have a preview of the latest installment in the long-running Castlevania saga. And like every other game in the series, it has a silly title. Castlevania, Lament of Innocence. Castlevania. The name alone brings up visions of dark, gothic castles, frenzied whipping action, and haunting, spooky music. Yeah, I guess that's spooky, just not the good spooky. The reason for the crazy techno beats is that Castlevania Lament of Innocence is a prequel. Thus, according to the composer, none of the wonderful classical scores you might remember from the other games have been written yet. Yeah, whatever. Techno was all the rage in the Middle Ages.
What just happened? I felt something strange.
But let's forget the music for a moment. As I said, this game takes place before all the other Castlevania titles. It's the 11th century, and Dracula has just stolen the betrothed of our hero, Leon Belmont. So, Leon must assault the castle with only a whip and his sharp fashion sense.
What is this?
A whip made with alchemy.
Hey, we didn't say it was an original plot, just a prequel.
It's what he always does when he starts the game.
Like the plot, gameplay looks like it won't diverge much from the traditional Castlevania action. Here's your whip. Here's some skeletons. Go to town. It's simple, it's classic, and it works. As you progress, you'll gain some cool new combo moves. Look, I'm floating! And sub-weapons. Nothing like spinning crosses to take care of that unsightly zombie problem. There are also the usual challenging jumping courses, items to fetch, and puzzles to solve. The word meth is carved into the wall. Use the tablet with E? Okay, now I understand the music. Time for some booty whipping action. Boy, you're a pretty good dancer for such a big fella. And the innuendo doesn't stop there.
If you want to know.
Beat me!
Okay. Looks like the makers of Castlevania have filled yet another game with hauntingly dark sensibility and a whip-smart gameplay. Look for Castlevania Lament of Innocence this fall. I still don't know whose innocence we're lamenting.
Neither do I. I know it's not mine.
Okay, let's move on to another big year's big games.
Big Year's games?
I was
Big Year's big games.
spooked by Castlevania Lament of Innocence.
Spooked by that title. Now,
Yeah.
we all know there has not been a decent 3D Castlevania ever.
No.
So, we'll listen to one breakdown. Losing streak.
Well, it's on the PS2, it looks like Devil May Cry, and it's better than Castlevania for the N64.
We're still not saying very much.
No, we're not. Here's our review of Castlevania Lament of Innocence. After the debacle that was the 3D Castlevania games for the N64, the series' 3D prospects looked to be running on empty.
What just happened? I felt something strange.
Lament of Innocence is the prequel to all the Castlevania games, but the story isn't much different than the rest of them. You play as Leon Belmont,
Yes, he abducted my betrothed.
a young lord with feathered hair who was in search of his kidnapped betrothed.
Sarah, wait for me. I'm coming to save you.
He may look like an 80s reject, but once Leon figures out that Dracula is behind all the madness, he still remains unfazed.
Ow!
While it plays a lot like Capcom's Devil May Cry, Lament of Innocence still has plenty of elements from other Castlevania games. And what would a Castlevania game be without the signature Belmont whip?
What is this?
In this case, apparently it's the signature concrete whip.
I will use this whip
You do that.
with gratitude.
But there's more than just the whip that makes it a Castlevania game. It's a solid mix of simple puzzles, platform jumping, and of course, handing out some lashes with the Whippo concrete. Even some of the classic enemies have made it into the game. And it simply wouldn't be Castlevania without a little holy water. Still thirsty? The combat has also been complicated a bit. You can block attacks, store the energy, and then unleash it using a variety of magic relics. You also learn new combos as you progress. But don't get too excited. In the end, you'll spend a lot of time doing this. And this. How can you break the jump mechanics in a Castlevania game? As monotonous as the gameplay can get at times, it's made worse by the fact that many of the rooms look nearly identical to each other. When you have to include items in the game that allow you to mark the map, you know there are problems. Let's face it, the story isn't going to get the tears flowing,
You can put it down now.
especially when you hear the awful voice acting and wordy script writing.
but I am beloved by the night.
I'll kill you and the knight!
Ultimately, this Castlevania fails where it matters most. It's simply not scary. How can it be when the main baddies say stupid things like this?
Beat me!
With repetitive graphics and gameplay, this Castlevania needs to head back to Transylvania for some training.
It seems eternal life is extremely boring.
And so is playing Castlevania Lament of Innocence. This one falls a whip crack shy of the franchise's lofty gameplay standards for a 3 out of 5.
Beat me!
That's cool.
Yeah, it just doesn't work no matter who says it.
Okay, not only is the gameplay very repetitive, but the voice acting, as we just saw, was horrible.
Konami's really cornering the market on that. Well, they and Capcom are. This game is also the prequel to all the other Castlevania games, which is begging the question, what horrible accident happened to make the Belmonts 2D in the rest of the Castlevania games? Were they flattened in a horrible printing press accident?
They were probably crushed by one of those booby trap walls, like this, they smushed people flat.
You said booby.